So we are here for today's session. It's I have started the stream already, but our guest for today isn't actually on yet, which is the first time we've had this for a guest webinar, but hopefully Tad will show up soon. But in any case, I will do the introduction and I'm assuming that he'll jump in at some point soon. So basically, today's session is about nailing your niche and really getting clear on who your target market is. And this is definitely, Tad's area of expertise because he is the founder of Marketing for Hippies. And for, I think, most of the people here did attend the conference, the Herbal Entrepreneur Conference, and you probably may have watched Tad's session already about like marketing and making it feel good, the way you approach your marketing. And one of the topics that he mentioned in that session was really about the getting clear on who you're talking to and your niche, because that is just like one of the most important parts for the actual pulling all the pieces together and bringing a good marketing message together. Okay, but we have the problem that we still do not have Tad on the call with us today. So what we can do in the meantime is, we're given some homework before this session as we need to come up with a short blurb of what you think your niche currently is. So a summary of your target market. And so it doesn't have to be long. It's meant to be less than 280 characters. So really just a couple of sentences. And then we're going to be breaking those down. Okay, Carol has her hand up. We'll ask, do you have a question, Carol?
So I messaged you, I'm sorry, but
wait, your sound doesn't seem to be working. You're not on mute, but I can't hear you.
Am I wanting to talk about my latest project, who I think that's for, or my business in general, just to clarify?
Okay, so it's up to you. You can get feedback on whatever is most useful for you. But if I were in your position, I would go for your your current project that you're working on, because that's kind of what's going to be fresh on your mind. And then you can get direct feedback on what you're working on. And that's going to be the most useful for you. So
thank you.
Yeah, I would do the current project. Also, because what you kind of come up with in this session, you'll be able to use that to create whatever it is you're creating, and also in the marketing messaging. So it's just definitely better if you can to do that. All right. So once again, I was kind of hoping that he would be here by now, but I will just go on. What we can do is that we'll just continue with the prep work as far as until for the next 10 minutes. Hopefully we'll show up. What we will do, I will share my screen for a moment so that we can start to get some ideas of the information and the creativity juices flowing. But when I do this, I'm not going to be able to see the participants. So if Tad does show up, make sure someone says in the chat that he's showed up so that I can see and we can hand over to him. But I will share my screen for a moment and we will go here. So this is Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies. And I shared this link with you before the call, as far as this can help with if you want to dive in further, and he has more resources as well if you want to go deeper into this. But the puttering session he has, where is it? I'm sorry, I can't find it. There's questions here somewhere. Here we are, about your ideal client. And so this is what we're going to look into to get some ideas. So we have some questions. So these are a couple of questions that you might want to start thinking of. And so you can rework your target customer avatar summary as we go through this, but these are just some ideas to get you thinking as well before we do get started. So this is where you're thinking about like who your ideal client actually is. So I guess your ideal client is who's going to buy your product, who's going to take part in your service, who you are working with. And so you want to have a look, think about what sort of things that they would like. So what sort of books would they be reading? What sort of things would you see in their bookshelf? What would you see on the shelf in their dining room, in their living room? You can think about all of those ideas and start to get a clearer picture of who they are. And so again, so similar to the books, what sort of podcasts would they listen to, and that sort of thing as well. Okay, great. I'm just checking in the chat that we don't have. Okay, cool. We're getting some people saying some things already. Wonderful. All right. And what else might you see in their house that would let you know this sort of person that you would enjoy spending time with them, or with whom you'd have a lot of common? So you would like to think about just what sort of person that they are, what they truly enjoy, and what they value. And so the clearer picture you get about this, if you can really visualize it, you're going to get a better idea of who they are, but that will also help you in serving them and providing what they want and need as well. And so then we have, what sort of movements they're part of. So like, do they have certain beliefs or values that really forms a part of who they are? The more specific you can get, the better. And what sort of conversations do they enjoy? There's all sorts of different things that people might be interested in. And like this, obviously in this group, we're all herbalists and have herbal products, but the interests that people have are actually going to be a little bit different. And there are specific niches even within herbalism. So there's like the more scientific type herbalism, there's more spiritual herbalism, there's like different ways of products, ways of using the products. There's like so much variability in the way that, And so, Caitlin's saying, is it possible you thought it was a different time? Yes, it is possible. And that's what I'm wondering, but hopefully not. I am going to have to be clear here that here's the first time I've ever done a guest webinar session that they haven't. Oh, hang on, guys, we have Tad. He's joined. And so that's good news. I don't have to. Hello, Tad.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was having difficulty logging in, and it finally.
No problem at all. I was just going through your puttering prep. The first PDF about the ideal client. So we went through the questions to like get some ideas, hopefully. And some people have already shared their. Some people have already shared in the chat. I'm not sure. Can you see previous chat stuff? Or
no, I can't.
You can't. Okay, I will put them again in, or perhaps if you shared yours already, perhaps share it in the chat again so that Tad can see it. But so we've got some people who've already shared it, and then some people are still at the getting ideas stage, I think. So there's like different people are at different points in their journey. But I've just been kind of talking for the last 10 minutes in a bit of an introduction and going through that. But perhaps you would like to do a better introduction of how you want to run today's session and what people should be doing.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your patience, everyone. I just had difficulty getting online, so glad to be here with you. What we're going to do is we're going to be going through the niches that are written out. I'll just be giving feedback, and that's probably where most of the content will come from. So rather than me just teaching abstractly, we'll just go through those. But then if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to type them in the chat, and we'll get to as many of those as we can as well. And thank you so much, Yolanda, for having me. Thank you for all the good work that you're doing. Thank you, all of you who are on this call, for the work that you're doing. Um, around plant medicine. It's just, to me, some of the sanest, most important work that is happening in the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, so Web Ferret says, so the survivalists and preppers looking for herbal solutions to when there are no doctors, including guidance on individual first aid kits, expanded first aid packs, and home first aid cabinet. This is great. I love this. So survivalists and preppers, so we know who it is. We know what scene they're a part of. We know the kind of community. So that's clear. And one of the first criteria for any kind of target market we're looking at is, do you know if you're in that group or not? It should immediately be clear when you hear it. There shouldn't be like, am I in that group? I don't know. Well, some days, well, it could be, So for example, when people say, I work with people who are stressed, I work with creatives, these are terms that are sort of nebulous, and it's hard to locate oneself in it necessarily, but survivalists and preppers, I think people would know. Okay, so they're looking for herbal solutions to when there are no doctors. So this is, it's interesting. In marketing and niching, I tend to talk a lot about island A and B, but there's also an island Z. So island A is, what's the problem? That's where your ideal clients are. They're on an island where there's some symptoms they have they don't like. There's some problems, some struggle that they're having, and now they're aware they're having it. That's really key. Island B is, there's a result that they're craving. So, I want more radiant skin. I want a romantic partner. I want more money. I want more. These are things that people are conscious of. It's not what we want for them. It's not what we think they should have. It's not what we think they need. This is something they're craving actively. So that's island A and that's island B. And basically, for the most part, a service provider, the way to contextualize our work is we're taking people from island A to island B. But it's also good to know there is such a thing as island Z, and island Z is the fear that people have on island A. So they're on island A and their fear is, if I don't handle this, where will this go? So one of the classic examples of that is people see somebody in their family with Alzheimer's and they think, oh God, don't let that happen to me. They see, other marriages falling apart and like, oh God, don't let this happen to us. And there's often something in that of, it's the fear of, if I don't handle things, if I don't take care of myself, if I don't handle this business, here's where it could end up. And I don't want it to end up there. It's a sort of worst case scenario. So I think this is a bit of what we have here. They're looking for herbal solutions for when there are no doctors, right? So this could come. It could come a day where, for various reasons, there's no doctors or we don't have access to doctors. And so what do we do then? So that's great. Including guidance for, and then it gives the 3 types, probably the 3 sizes of offers that we have here. This is so great. It's it's very clear. So I got no particular feedback. Yeah, this makes sense. I mean, of course, there's ways one could narrow this further, but I don't think you need to. So good for you. Thanks for doing this. Beautiful. Okay, so Tina said, back to basics. We care what you use and put on your body. We can offer you a clean, all-natural solution to beauty and skincare. Generally, I'd say that's pretty clear. And just, okay, some tweaks. When we're writing something like this out, I imagine back to basics is either the business name or the package name. And for this kind of exercise, nobody, and in the marketplace, nobody cares what our name is. People make this mistake a lot of, they have a business name and they put it up, like somebody in my membership was doing a series of events called the money, like the money workshops or something like that. And that was this big bold banner at the top of the event, right? But then each month that she was doing it, there was a different theme. Like there was a different guest, a different exercise, and that was really tiny. And I just thought, oh man, I would probably reverse it. No, and the name wasn't that compelling, was the thing. I mean, there wasn't anything that jumped out about the name. So I would have whatever the topic is that's going to be most relevant to people, I would lead with that. And then the business name was sort of small on the side. If you're trying to fill a workshop on a certain topic, then lead with what the heck that topic is. So anyways, so there's that. I just would tend not to lead with our business name unless our business name is very specific and implies a bit about what it is, who it's for. So we care what you use and put in your body. So this is point of view. So I would scratch this from this. I mean, I wrote a whole book on point of view marketing, so I'm not saying it's not important, but not here. When we're talking about the niche in the target market, we care what you use and put in your body. Just like, why do I care? Does you care? Thanks, Mom. Does you care what I put in my body? But that's not relevant to me immediately. So we offer clean, all-natural solution beauty and skincare. So now we get to it. So what I would say, so it's interesting, in the island A and island B metaphor, there's the boat, right? Our business is like a boat that can take them from one island to another. And so this is the boat, what you've just described. We offer an all-natural solution to beauty and skincare. That's the boat. And if people are looking for a clean, all-natural solution to beauty and skincare, number one, and number two, there aren't a lot of them already out there, then I would speak to that. My guess is there's some honing to do because there's lots of people out there offering a clean, all-natural solution to beauty and skincare. So Tina, one of the exercises I would do is if you search on YouTube, just search Tad Hargrave, Danny Inney positioning matrix. Maybe somebody can even find the link right now and put it in, but it's Danny Inney is INY. And it's a video where Danny Inney, a colleague of mine, walks through an exercise. And I think for what you're doing here, this might actually help hone and specify a way to do it. Because, for example, with beauty and skincare, I would find myself wondering, why do people need beauty and skincare? What are the issues that people would have? Are people's skin not already good? What's the problem? So Tina, maybe even if you could unmute yourself, what would you say are the top 3 problems that people have with their skin that your products could help with?
So for me, the idea of it being completely natural, there's so many chemicals in even a lot of the ones that say they're fully natural, but they're really not. So it's the misrepresentation of the product. So I'm trying to be very, I guess, transparent is my idea, is that my products are transparent, they're pure, they're clean, they're holistic, they have herbs, they have natural products. There is no chemical basis to any of it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask the question again. What would you say are the top 3 issues that your products help with?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So my products would help with, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess really. Nope. Go ahead. No, not really acne, but.
That's the homework I would do on this.
Okay.
Is I would make a list. You'll see in the puttering prep work, there's an exercise with the where you come up with, you put it in a quadrant. I can't remember which section it's in, but basically, first of all, step 1, and this is useful for everyone I'll give this simple outline of it. Number 1, you write out all the symptoms that you want to help with, if that's the kind of business you're running, all the issues that you help with. So this could be psoriasis, it could be acne, it could be dry skin, could be clammy skin, could be, I don't know what all the things would be.
Mm-hmm.
you make a list of every single symptom, every single issue. Number two, you make a chart. And on this chart, you've got 1 through 10 on how passionate are you about that issue. And then on the side to side here, you got a 1 through 10 on how good your product or service, how competent it is in solving that. Like, and 10 is it's a home run. Oh my gosh, give me that issue. We'll just hit it out of the park. 10 here is I'm so passionate about. So obviously you've got then these sort of quadrants that appear. And this quadrant is you're not good at it and you're not passionate about it. And this one is you're really good at it and you're really passionate about it. So you take all those issues and you can start to plot them. Because there may be certain skin conditions where it's like, no, this stuff is really good. And maybe there's different products that help different ones. I do find it can be helpful to name a top 3 issues, just because it helps people wrap their mind around it, even if that's not the only 3 you work with. But sometimes there's 3 that are, wow, 80% of my business is people wanting help with these 3 things. And so that can just help you start to hone, okay, these are the ones I'm most passionate about anyways, and they're the ones that these products seem to be best at helping. And you might also do the positioning matrix exercise, but I could see something like adding chemical free in there. I would just say that I know I get it. The skincare world out there, it's almost all alcohols and chemicals, and it's terrible. And it long-term does damage to the skin. And there's more and more people at the farmers market, at the craft shows, who are offering these things. And so then I still find myself wondering, okay, would there be any specialization beyond this, which may be worth considering? Because that is another direction it can go. One is it's like we do general skincare stuff. And that's just all completely natural, chemical free. And this is the boat that we have. And if you're interested in this, come and buy this. And then you just, work to promote that. But the other is, sometimes people will say, you know what, I really want to create skin. I struggled with psoriasis and it was terrible. So I want to offer help with psoriasis. So you can go that way. But then also you can start to offer other help with it. So you might even, maybe there's a book that you think is the best book written about that issue. So you might, be selling that book on your website. There may be nutritional supplements that, these are really important, dietary approaches, or the emotional work around that. So sometimes people, they might start with a product, but realize I really want to focus on this issue. And then when people are on the internet searching, for help with psoriasis, then they come across your stuff. And, you say, look, one of the biggest troubles with psoriasis is people do all this work to heal it, but then they're putting chemicals on their skin that are ultimately going to make it worse. And here's a whole completely natural approach to resolving that. So one could go that, way as well. And then the other thing I'd recommend is if you go to, let's put this here on my website, marketingforhippies.com/steps. And this is a, this will work. There we go. If you go to step 5, it's on hub marketing, and that's a piece I would go look at. Is this bit about how do you find the kinds of folks who might be a good fit for what you're doing? There you go. Thanks for this work, Tina.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your help.
All right. Doris says, a sleep ritual box with teas, bath salts, oils targeted at burned out, overwhelmed nurses. Damn. Well, that's extremely clear. Very nice. So, interesting. I mean, just, as soon as you said a sleep ritual box with teas, bath salts, and oils, I was just like, I get it. So, even though this isn't about niching, there are all sorts of sleep coaches out there, and they would be, to me, the hubs to go to. You can be selling it to individual people, but I would absolutely be reaching out to all the people who help people with sleep. One of the people who's in my membership or mentorship program years ago, Asleep at Last was her website, asleepatlast.com, and because when I was working with her, it's like, you could be creating these kinds of kits, and I don't know if she ever did that. But sometimes it's too much work. She does the service, and it's the thought of having a product. But you can do partnerships, or a sleep coach might say, hey, email their people and say, I just came across this woman who has this incredible herbal sleep kit. It's beautiful. I want to recommend it. And then you do a cut on it. They get a percentage of the sales. And it's also one of those things where, let me ask Doris, is this a subscription thing? Or is this a one-time purchase?
So I'm kind of thinking it would be nice to do a subscription where people would get it sent to them every month, but I haven't really thought that far ahead. So right now I'm thinking of it as a one-time purchase and then hoping they come back.
Got it. Well, I would certainly recommend thinking about it. Maybe there's a one-time option, because I was thinking if you went to sleep coaches, and now, is this your whole business, or is this just one of the things you offer?
It's just one of the things I'm offering.
Okay. Got it. Well, this is good. I'll just say that this type of thing is the thing that you could build your whole business around, and it wouldn't be a terrible idea. Ironically, the woman who runs Asleep at Last, when she came to me, she was a general health coach. She'd done one of these, health coaching university things, gotten her degree as a health coach. And so, of course, this means a broad array of issues. And the one she was most passionate about was sleep. And she decided to really focus on that, because she knew that she had a better chance of getting clients if she focused on the sleep, and then she could talk about the general health stuff, rather than trying to talk about general health stuff and then offering them help with sleep. Yeah. Just because there's more relevance in the sleep thing than general health. If you go to the marketplace and you say, I help people be healthy, there's just no response. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares. But if you go and you say, hey, are you having trouble sleeping? A lot of people raise their hand. So just to say, not say that you should or ought to do this, but just to underline for everybody, you could build an entire business selling sleep ritual boxes. That could be a whole thing and be very simple and profitable. When we look at business model, I just want to give the four S's of a business model really quickly. And I think there's probably a video of this on YouTube somewhere where I go into it more. But the first one is it's got to be safe for them, meaning they can check you out from a distance, get free samples, learn about your philosophy or point of view before they say yes. Number two, it's got to be sustainable for you financially, energetically, time-wise. It's got to be sustainable. Third, it's got to be satisfying. It's got to be a lifestyle that you want to have, that you really enjoy it. And number four, it's got to be simple. That's really key. All four of those. So safe, sustainable, satisfying, and simple. And when we have a business and we try to do too many different things. So again, I don't know anything about Doris's business, but sometimes businesses, we've got 12 different boxes or 30 different boxes, and then we also teach classes, and then we also run garden tours, and we all, there's a certain point where you're actually starting to run so many different, and I do massage, and I'm a life coach, and we run a cafe. People will have so many businesses, and it starts to burn them out. So there's a real beauty to just simplicity in a business model. And it's also good to remember that in terms of marketing, almost all marketing is going to come from word of mouth. At the end of the day, that's the reality. People can get real fancy with Facebook ads and all this. And in the short term, the fancy, shiny tactics work. But in the long term, the only thing that works is reputation. The only thing that works is word of mouth, evidenced by, if you do the research and look at any business, when they say, how did you hear about us? And there's, they give all the options. There's one option from a friend, 50% plus people click that. Emphasis on the plus. It's most people hear about things from friends talking about friends, right? That's the long-term fix on this. Okay, so if most of marketing really does come down to word of mouth long term and reputation, then the reputation becomes very important. And reputation means, what are you known for? And in marketing, you're going to get to be known for one thing. One thing. That's it. If you're lucky. I mean, this is on a good day, you actually get to be known for something. So it's an achievement to get to be known for one thing, but that's all you got is one thing. So the question that's very critical becomes, what is this one thing that you want to be known for? Yeah. And this is a helpful exercise, by the way. You could imagine that you're at a party, and this is worth doing after the call, just to really take yourself there. But you could get a sense of it just as I'm talking through. You're at a party, you're sitting there, and you've got somebody, a couple of people behind you, and they're talking about you. They don't know you're there. You got your back to them. Chair's got a high top to it, And so they're like, "Oh, Tina Silva? Yeah. Wait, what does she do?" Well, now they're talking about you. So the ethical thing would be for you to say, "Oh, just so you know, I'm here," and interrupt them before they say anything that implicates themselves. But of course, you're human and you're curious, so you zip it and you just kind of lean back in to make sure you hear whatever the hell they're going to say. Yeah, what does Tina do? And I want you to imagine there's a response they could say that would horrify you. It's like, I don't know, she's some weird witch. I think she's into Satanism. I don't know, or she does some weird new age medicine thing. She does some, I think she's a gardener. I don't know. There's a kind of misinterpretation that they could say. And so it's good to just consider, what is it you don't want them to say? What's the thing that, if you were known for that, or maybe the thing you are known for, that's also worth reflecting on. What are the things you hear through the rumor mill that people say, "Oh, Tina, yes, I hear that you do." And oh God, not this again. No, I don't do that. But then there's the flip side. You can imagine that they say, "Oh, Tina," and then they describe what you do in such a way that, yes, that's exactly what I want to be known for. It's good to wrap one's head around that. What do I want to be known for? Because you'll get to be known for one thing. And you could be known for, and here's the challenge. Let's say somebody says, "Oh yeah, she's an herbalist." But do you think they don't know other herbalists? Are there no other herbalists where you live? Of course there are. And so this becomes the trouble, is you're known for something. It'd be like in Amsterdam. It's like, "Oh, you have a bicycle. Cool." Everybody has a bicycle in Amsterdam. Everybody has 3 bicycles in Amsterdam. I mean, I literally think there are 3 bicycles to every citizen in Amsterdam. So it's very common. It'd be like saying, it's like, "Oh, you got 5 minutes of stand-up material." Me too. Everybody has, in the theater scene has 5 minutes of stand-up. So it's not uncommon. It's not unique. That's the trouble. And this is why we need to niche. And if you want to be known for beauty, well, okay, but there's lots of people that do natural beauty. Again, there still may be a lot. So we're trying to find something that either not a lot of people do or a lot of people do, and we do it in a different way. So then with the sleep ritual thing, again, just to say, you could be known for the sleep thing. You could be known for one of your products and build a whole business around that. And it might just save you a lot of work. So, and let me just riff on this a bit, because this is a great example of what one could do. So one could have a subscription box. That's a sleep ritual box, yeah. And there's certain things that come in every week, but there might also be, you might mix it up. Hey, and this week there's also a book that's coming out about sleep. This week there's also, I don't know, coupons. You can come to a Zoom call where I interview this sleep specialist. This week there's this supplement that I don't sell, but a colleague of mine sell. We're including a little bit of it, so you can try it out. This week there's an eye pillow. There's all sorts of things that could be for people who really struggle. So then, so this is for the insomniacs, and the marketing for it would be, these sleeping coaches. Now, one doesn't have to focus one's whole business around it, but all those things could still be true if you have a sleep box. The challenge, as you can start to imagine, is, but wait, that sounds like a lot of work to do all those things for one box. And if you've got multiple boxes, all that work. And because the thing I would say is, if you're going to have a sleep ritual box, I mean, that's the kind of thing, it could have its own website, and probably should, or at least a URL that goes to the sales page of that. That's easy to remember, like sleepritualbox.com. If you haven't already got that, Doris, go get it. That's a great name, very simple, easy to spell, easy to remember, where people could go and buy it. Because then when you go to these sleep coaches, say, hey, just so you know, I've got this box in case your people are interested. Boom. And if you do a subscription thing, the business move you could do, you go to the sleep coaches and you say, hey, if you get people to sign up for this sleep ritual subscription service, I'll give you 100% of the first sale. Because you know, enough people will stick around long enough and you'll make it money anyways. So you just let them get 100%. They make money on the first bit. You get people into the thing, and then they're ongoingly, sticking around. Of course, you'd probably want to run it just by yourself for a bit to see how long people stick around. But anyways, there's a bunch of business model stuff. I love the idea of a sleep ritual box and the idea of having boxes on different themes. It's so great, because part of what this is contending with is, easy is the new free. If I'm struggling with sleep and I say, okay, I don't want to go the route of drugs for this, so I want to take an all natural approach, then I go on the internet and I start researching shit. Instant overwhelm. Oh, this person has this herb, this person has that. I go to the the local health shop. Oh, well, have you thought about melatonin? Of course. Well, there's valerian root, and there's St. John's wort, and there's all what they start listing all the things that could conceivably help me with sleep, and I'm just like, what do I do? Should I take the pill? Should I take the tea? What about a tincture? And then people are saying, yeah, bath salts, and there's all these other things. So somebody who has it all in a box that I can just buy the box is relief. I don't have to put it all together. Thank God. Bless you, kind soul, for doing all this so I don't have to organize it myself. This is what so many of us are craving when we're struggling with it. So you notice I've been riffing this whole time just on the sleep thing, not on the nurse thing. And this will sound strange because I'm talking about getting more and more narrow. What is it about nurses where the sleep issues are different, Doris?
Because I'm a nurse.
Well, I get it, but is there anything about the sleep issues that are different? Like, is there anything you'd put in the box differently in sending it to a nurse than you would for somebody who wasn't a nurse?
No.
Okay, so I would just say that I'd probably not say that this is I'm seeing the way you worded it here, targeted at burned out and overwhelmed nurses. I just might not say it's a box for nurses. I might not say that formally. This is just a box for people struggling with sleep. It's a sleep ritual box, and one of the main target markets you focus on are burned out and overwhelmed nurses. I think that's great. I just think I was tripped up by, like a sleep ritual box for overwhelmed nurses. I was just like, why? What's different about their sleeping issue? And if there isn't, then you just don't need to put it in the necessarily in the name. Although it could be something in the sales letter. You could have a headline like, "Hey, burned out and overwhelmed nurses." But this is another set of hubs, because in fact, in my membership right now, there's a woman who works with burned out, overwhelmed nurses and doctors. That's her niche. So if you search that, there's what is it? thehappymd.com. Guy named Dyke Drummond. This is like 15 years ago I met this guy, but I think he's still at it. But if you just search, burned out doctors, coaching burned out doctors, there are probably more and more people who have that as a niche. And those people would be great hubs.
That's good to know. Yeah, I just, over the last 3 weeks, like I was kind of more spaghetti on the wall, trying to not really having a focus. And just over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, I've been there. And so that is what I've decided is my target audience, is the burned out and overwhelmed nurses.
And do you have other boxes that help burned out, overwhelmed nurses with other issues?
No, this is my first box that I'm developing.
So this is good to notice that, Doris could go a few directions here. One is just focusing on sleep, and the way you would do that is you just you read every book you can about sleep. You take courses about sleep. You become a real expert on sleep, and you offer these boxes that have some of the curated best products, materials on sleep stuff, and it becomes a subscription box for people who really struggle with this for a long time. So there's that. The other one is I'm really focusing on natural approaches for burned out and overwhelmed nurses, in which case I'd be reading books about burnout. I'd be reading books about how do you recover from that kind of, being that fried, because then you can also be a resource for them on those things. Not that you have to be a life coach or anything, but you might, let's say and there could be other issues, with like, what are the other issues with that happen maybe as a result of the burnout and overwhelm? I mean, sleep is certainly going to be one of the major things, but what else?
There's chronic fatigue that's not even just related to the sleep, because you're so burned out. And then especially in nursing, there's this cycle of a lot of drinking, and then, which also interferes with your sleep. And then you're in these cycles of drinking a lot of coffee during the day, and then you're drinking at night, and it all interferes with your sleep. And then you eat crap food because that's, you don't have time or energy to actually make food. And people bring to the floors, donuts and chips and all this sugar and processed food. So it's a very, like, you're not supporting your body.
Do you have opinions about diet?
I do. I'm a wellness coach too.
Okay, there you go. Hilarious.
Yeah. So I do have a lot of, like the wellness coach and the herbal box tie in together.
I love it. This is great. Yeah, I think then the thing that strikes me most, you could do a sleep box for people everybody, not just nurses, or you could focus on nurses and not just sleep, but other issues as well. But sleep is probably one of the things that could get you in. And also, in terms of getting in there, by the way, you notice I'm coming up with all these ideas instead of moving to the next niche. Here's part of why, is when the niche is clear, ideas start to come. That's one of the ways that I know the niche is clear. If it's not clear, I never have ideas. I help everybody with everything. Great. I have no ideas for you. You know where you should look for clients? Where? Everywhere. Oh, great. Thanks, Ted. That's real helpful. But there are associations, for doctors and nurses. There are places, conferences where you could go and you could do a presentation about, sleep issues specifically. And I bet you there'd be people there. There's newsletters they have, etc. But and then there's all these colleagues that will probably be doing other aspects of the burnout for doctors or nurses, and you could be partnering with them because they won't do exactly what you do.
Right.
And I think for nurses, given how busy they are, I mean, every nurse that any of us know is on a permanent sort of texting list asking them, can you come in today? Can you come in today? We're short staffed. Can you come in all the time? And so there's a lot there. I mean, there's books around boundaries. There's books around, there's a lot of coaching that could be offered. But boy, anyways, what you've got is great, Doris. Thank you for offering it.
Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome. Okay, so Caitlin says, people who want to try making herbal home remedies and build their home apothecary, but they feel overwhelmed trying to figure it out on their own. That's great. That's really clear. I know if I'm in that group or not. Yeah, the only thing I think that could be, well, no, I mean, I think that's fairly clear. My concern is that there's a lot of people out there offering basically the same thing. And so then I just find myself wondering what's sort of unique about the position that you take in it. And there's a few things, so when we talk about niching, there's 6 things you could hone in on if you're ever feeling stuck. It's the old journalistic saw, W5 plus H. It's who, what, where, when, why, and how. And so one could focus a bit more on the who. So when we say people who want to try making herbal, like could be homesteaders, could be permaculturalists, could be preppers, could be etc. There's a sort of group, and these kind of people tend to want to make these things anyway, so one could focus on that. Holistic practitioners who want to build it, but they feel overwhelmed. So that's the who. There's the what. Now the what you have is already pretty clear, but one could say it's a specific kind of home apothecary. I don't know what that would be, but maybe there's a more specific what. There's where. So this is interesting. I work with people in the tri-state area. I work with people in on the east coast of Australia. I work with people in the prairies, in the mountains. I work with people in northern climates. I work with people in the tropics who want to be, etc. So one could focus on the where in such a way that people would say, oh yeah, I want to build an apothecary in this climate. Because this is the hilarious thing, with permaculture, people will, you go to these, so I'm from Alberta in Edmonton, very northern climate. And you go to some of these permaculture things, there's all these tropical examples, all these, very much like closer to the equator kind of example. It's just like, what? Like, we don't have those plants. Here's how to plant your winter garden. There's no winter gardens here. We don't have that. So I remember somebody came up with permaculture for a northern climate. I thought, man, that's brilliant. Okay, so there's the where, there's the when. Here's something that's interesting. This is more about the offer, less about the niche. Usually the when is more like, what are the hours it's available? But I could see something like people who want to build an herbal, make their home apothecary in the next 90 days. So you could even hone the time frame of it. Like, you really want to get this underway. I'm going to help you build a home apothecary in the next 30 days, 90 days, next year, whatever it is. One of my dear friends, Natalie Pepin, she has a website, I think it's reskilledlife.com or thereskilledlife.com or something. And she does a lot of homesteading stuff, but she did a food security thing, and it was how to get yourself food secure, at a basic level, like all the food stored up, like 6 months of food, and you'll do it in the next 30 days or something. So those time frames can make the offers very compelling, because it just makes it a bit more concrete. So that's the when, who, what, where, when, why. Sometimes the target market can be defined by the bigger why, the bigger cause that it's about. Now, in this way, it's a bit already implied around this. But, some herbalists their bigger why might be more social justice. Some of it might be more natural medicine. Some of it may be more back to the land. Some of it may be more political, and so the bigger purpose around it could be articulated, and that could help. And then and then there's the how. And the how might be a certain philosophy around, building apothecaries, etc. But generally, I would say this is very clear. I'm futzing, I'm nitpicking and giving examples of where one might clarify it. But basically, I would say this is good enough. And this is here's a general guideline I would say in terms of niching, is if it's 70% clear, just go, just do stuff, try it out. You'll clarify it in doing it. People wait till their niche is 100% clear before they do anything. But that's not how it gets to 100% clear. The way it gets to 100% clear is you get to 70% clear in your head and you start implementing. Because it's in the conversation with the marketplace that the rest of the 30% happens. If you get to 100% clear in your head, it's probably a bad idea, because unless you went through that experience yourself, because you haven't actually, talked to anybody. So you don't know if the market will respond. And it's one of the most classic things in business where people get an idea they're really excited about. They spend a lot of money and they put it out there and nobody wants it. So, best to get it 70% clear, get out there. And then, Caitlin, as you do it, I would just say pay a really, really, really close attention to who comes to see you. Like, what kind of people are these? What are they into? What other scenes are they already a part of? Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Shala says, making relaxing creams and bath oils to help relax muscles and keep circulation flow going. Okay. So we know this is pretty clear. Y'all doing great, by the way. This is, these are good. I'm not seeing any complete duds yet. So making relaxing creams and bath oils help relax muscles. So I would say, so we've got a sense of what it is. Relaxation creams and bath oils. We know what some of the issues are. Island A, oh, my muscles are tense, they're tight, I got bad circulation. So that's good. That's a good beginning. If you wanted to hone it, again, who, what, where, when, why, and how. So one could focus a bit more on the who, like what kinds of people are likely to have muscles that need this, need help with this. So one could say nurses, mothers, one could do that. Then let's see, who, what, where. My question, Shala, is, so yeah, what kind of things are happening for people? Like, what kinds of people tend to go for this in your experience? I don't know if you're speaking, but you're muted. Are you there, Shala? Or did we catch you the one time you ran to the bathroom?
I
Okay.
clicked ask her to unmute, but it's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute myself.
Okay.
Okay, so sometimes people have problems, because I know I've had it before too, with blood circulation, and sometimes it causes a lot of stressful issues for you. You get the tingling sensation or whatever because of the circulation problems. And some people suffer with muscle spasms and stuff. So in order for the body to relax, I've been working on ingredients that help the body to relax from the muscle spasms and the circulation of the blood.
Okay, so if I'm understanding right, so you're saying that people have the poor circulation issues are resulting in all these symptoms.
Not always. Sometimes, with poor circulation, it can cause tingling sensations in the feet or in the legs and in the hands. And so, I've been working really hard the last 10 years trying to come up with the appropriate skin solution, topical solutions for the bath oils and for the bath cream, massage creams.
Ah, okay. So something that a massage therapist could use that would help people who are struggling with circulation issues in particular?
Yes.
Okay. Shala, this is great. I mean, there's your whole marketing plan.
Yes.
It is you reach the massage therapists.
Yes.
You go, yeah. I mean, this is gold. You because massage therapists will certainly, a lot of them will know that their clients have circulation issues. So if they know like, oh, there's a certain something I could use that would help them, because the massage will help the circulation, but also this will. I mean, to me, there's your whole business model if you want it. I mean, you could literally just have that one product and build the whole business on that.
Yeah.
And which would be a very simple business model, but it's the kind of thing where you speak for the, like all the massage schools, all of the associations, you find all the meetup groups of massage therapists, etc. You find wherever you can that they're massage therapists, and you get in front of them. And here's something, I'll just make a little distinction that I think is probably pretty important. Let's say you go to do a presentation. If you go to, let's say, some massage school and you do a presentation where you say, here's my product and here's where you should buy it, nobody wants to hear it. This is a commercial at this point, and people don't tend to want to sit through commercials. But if instead you go and you say, I want to talk about herbal treatments to circulation issues, or natural treatment. You could even go that broad. You can say, I want to talk about natural treatments for circulation. And you say, or the top 5 treatments for circulation. You can say, look, as a massage therapist, you're going to be seeing lots of people who come in and they've got circulation issues. And here's all the symptoms that result from poor circulation. So you're going to have a lot of that. So here are 5 things you can recommend to your clients that will make the biggest difference for their circulation. So then you might say, look, hot, cold therapy. This is really powerful for circulation. You might say, here's some foods or some supplements that are really powerful for circulation. You might, by the way, Shala, are you familiar with the work of Dr. Tom Cowan?
No.
Okay, he wrote a book called Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, which I would recommend just because it focuses in part on actually, you know what I would do instead? If you go to bitshoot.com, if you search Tom Cowan, Dr. Tom Cowan, blood pressure or hypertension, there may be a video that comes up, but there's a very compelling take on blood pressure, which is connected to the issue of the heart, that basically the heart is not a pump, that the blood is not really pumped fundamentally by the heart, that the blood pumps itself because of something about the structure of the blood. Anyways, it relates to this. It may just be on a clinical level interesting for you. But anyway, you can speak about all these things, yeah? And then number 5, the 5th thing you talk about, or maybe the 3rd thing, are all these plants. You say, look, there's a lot of herbs that are clinically proven, to help with circulation. And here's what they are, and here's how they work. Here's the, and they're all sitting there saying, oh, wow, I never knew that about these plants. And this is really great. And then you say, and by the way, if you're interested in this for your clients, I have this massage cream. And here's why I do it as a topical thing as opposed to ingesting it or as a tincture or pills. And here it is. And if you'd like it, you can get it from me. So you can become known as an expert, not just in making this particular cream, but expert in the circulation issue.
Right.
Which gets you in the door is the thing. That's the reason I bring it up. Because again, if you go and you go to a massage school, I mean, if you say, hey, I've got this product, I mean, maybe they'd let you come and do a little commercial to the students. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'd send out word about it, but they probably get so many people coming in with their products and trying to pitch it, and probably a lot of natural ones too, just given the type of industry it is. But if you do an educational thing, natural approaches, for massage therapists for this, and maybe then you even learn a bit about here are some massage techniques that are particularly useful for circulation. Of course, there's acupuncture for circulation. There's all sorts of things. But if you contextualize it in that bigger thing, and then you say, but look, here's this cream, and here's why this can be so potent for helping your clients. Here's how this can get you better results with your own clients. You know, of course, they'll be thrilled because it makes them look good in what they do.
Right. I'm also doing sample kits too.
The sample kits are good. And still, to me, the question is, how do you reach them in the first place? I mean, you could say, look, thanks for coming to my presentation. If you're interested in these, you know, creams and lotions, you know, bath oils, all this, I've got a little sample kit. It costs this much. If you'd like to get one now, you know, and try it out for yourself, feel free.
Right.
Yeah, but the how to reach them in the first place becomes the question. And I would just say, for most of us, this idea of doing an educational presentation that's not just focused on here's why to hire me, but it's here's an approach and here's why it matters. And that presentation could be everything from just natural approaches to circulation to herbal approaches to circulation to, you know, one could make it broad or narrow, and you may want to experiment even if you're going to go that way to see which one gets more of a response than others.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions you're left with on that, Shala?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's brilliant what you're doing. I think that could go really well for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Carol said, I'm launching an online group. And then Shala, if you can also mute yourself. Thank you. I'm launching an online group with a focus on conversations about one herb per month. Oh, cool. So my person likes herbs or loves herbs, is a gardener or cook, and wants to learn more about ways to be able to use herbs in various ways for increased health and self-reliance. I want to provide a space and discussion in an uplifting way. Right. Okay. So this is straight up the boat. There's not a particular symptom or result other than, you know, I suppose we could say increased health and self-reliance. But I think this is much more about the boat, and it's great. So what we're looking at here is, I mean, to me, it's, yeah, you're looking at people who are passionate about plants. So, right, it could be gardeners, could be cooks, could be herbalists as well, who just want a chance to really deep dive, you know. And part of this is the kind of situation where they never make the time. You know, my guess is that's Island A. Like, oh, I keep wanting to learn more and I just don't make the time. So, you know, focusing on that. And also, I would say, this is interesting. Those are three, in some ways, very different target markets. Herbalists, gardener. I mean, I know I threw herbalist in here, but herbalists, gardeners, and cooks. Because an herbalist will probably have more of a clinical application. So they're going to want to learn more about the herbs that you can use clinically or, you know, to help people directly. Whereas a cook may be more interested in herbs for their taste, you know, how can I use this in a recipe? And so that may be two very different approaches. I think it would be. And gardeners, I suppose they'll have their own interest in it as well. Because if I was a cook, you know, cooks get very, or bartenders also, frankly, you know, you could have, I know a lot of bartenders and the hipster scene have gotten very into, you know, specific herbs for drinks. So one could do that. But if I was an herbalist, I was like, you know, okay, I want to know, tell me about this herb. What are all the clinical applications? What are all the different ways it can be used? I'd be interested in being very nerdy about the history of it, all that. But if I was a cook, you know, one of the things I could see is, we're all going to get together and we're going to not just learn about this herb, we're going to cook a dish with it. You know, so here's the ingredient list, and come together, and on Zoom, we're all going to cook together. And I'm going to teach you about this, you know, what kind of palette this herb works with and that type of thing. Here's some recipes. I'm going to give you, you know, my top 3 recipes that use this herb. And you know, if it was bartenders, then it's like, I'm going to show you a drink that you can, you know, a few drinks you can make with this herb, and, you know, here's the liqueurs to bring in, we'll all try it together, etc. So it just strikes me those may be different in application. And if you were to have too many of those groups in one, it may not be fully satisfying to any of them. I don't know. I love this idea. 1 herb per month. And again, Carol, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is, as you launch it, pay attention to who responds. Because what's funny in marketing is sometimes you've got this boat and you think, aha, I know who will want it, people on Island A, and you think you know the group on Island A, but then a different group shows up. When I first started my business, I thought I was going to be reaching like green retail, kind of green, ethical, local businesses on the main street. And then one day I looked up and I realized that half the people in my workshops were holistic practitioners. But that took me 2 years to notice. One day I was like, oh man, that's almost everybody. So for everybody, it's really good to pay attention over time to who's buying. My mom and her husband have a tree farm outside of Edmonton called Sherwood's Forests. And they, when they started, they imagined there were going to be 3 target markets: acreage owners, garden supply stores, and landscapers. What they found was the garden supply stores nickel and dime them. They didn't get a lot of good money from them, and they didn't treat the trees that well, so they didn't feel good selling them to them. The landscapers tend to want bigger trees than they sold. And the acreage owners was a fit, but he's 1 out of 3 ended up being the one they thought. And then they found another business that was coming to them a lot were reclamation companies, the oil companies mining that would have to reclaim land. And so they hire these reclamation companies, and they wanted trees exactly the size as what they were selling. But that wasn't in their mind when they started. So for everyone, one of the ways we figure out our niche is we pay attention to who's responding, who's actually buying as we go through. So Carol, is there anything you'd like to say, or any questions, or anywhere I got it completely wrong?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Tad. That's very, very interesting. I guess my thought, as you have said, they are a little different from each other. Not so much an established herbalist, I don't think. I mean, they might pop in to say hello, but I was hoping that this would be more of a, paid, and it just automatically gets charged each month so that it's an ongoing thing. And my thought was that I would share and make it more of a discussion. So I would provide at the beginning of the month, some bare bones, if you will, and then we would take the discussion based on who had what questions about what. And I would also provide, just from my own expertise, resources for the one that wants to know more about, the diuretic, blah, 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 versus somebody that wants to cook. And I thought that food as medicine is the sort of the main focus in a way. So using the whatever it is, whether it's a dandelion or whatever, in a way that not only are you cooking with this, but you can see the benefits to the family if you do cook with this. And then, you'd slide in a little bit about why bitter taste is needed and
Right.
sort of that. So I guess maybe it is too much of an overview, but as I do know the plants, like I thought that I would just provide sort of a bare bones sort of thing first, and then start the discussion, see where it goes. And yes, definitely it would be 2 Zoom calls a month. So the first one might be getting started with some projects, and the second one would be getting people to come back with their projects or feedback from their projects. And that it could be that somebody is totally about just the cooking, and somebody else wants to talk about the more medicinal qualities. But to be honest, since it's 1 herb for the entire month, I was hoping that there'd be, somebody that thought they were only interested in the cooking actually gets turned on by like, I didn't realize that by using this, that would happen, or that I can help my, dad's digestion by making him, stuff like that. So I was trying to sort of weave it together. So if it was a clinical herbalist, no, they would want more. But that isn't really who I'm approaching. And of course, the budding herbalist or the new aspiring herbalist would be right in that group. But they would also possibly be interested in the ways to use the herb on different levels as well. So that's sort of where I went.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, because that helps a little bit. I mean, the thing that kept coming to me is like, oh, moms, this is for moms, or people cooking for their family. potentially, like, they who are, a particular friend of mine, I mean, she is an herbalist, so, but she's she, the Weston A. Price Foundation.
Yes.
Right. So I would just think folks who are a part of that would be potentially of interest, because, this friend of mine, she's into homesteading, she's into food as medicine, she's now she already knows a lot about these herbs, but there may be some where it's like, look, you're just to roll with this one, you're a mom and you're really drawn to food as medicine and plants, and you don't have time to do a whole herb course. And you secretly dream one day of being the witch on the hill, and knowing all these things about plants, but you don't have time right now. So this is just bite size. You'll be able to connect with other ones, other moms out there, or just parents, and so there could be that as the thing. It just strikes me they have an interest in cooking food. There's a reason to cook food. Whereas maybe single people, maybe less motivation, easier to just order out. But if you got a family, you have to feed them. Maybe there's more interest in actually cooking, and so these would be people who'd be more drawn to it. But yeah, could be professional cooks. It's interesting. So, how long would the calls be, do you think?
An hour and 15. I'm thinking. I've not done one yet, so that was sort of my thought.
Well, part of this is sometimes the when can factor in. So
yes,
have me think, there could be even an appeal to, it's a 30-minute call, every 2 weeks. So it's in and out, for, especially if they were a parent and they're really busy. It's like, oh, I can slot in 30 minutes, that. And by the way, also, not saying you should go with the moms, but for anyone who does want to go for parents or moms, there's, if you can hack it, you do the calls at 9 p.m. like when mom finally gets to be a human being again, and gets to, because her kids are asleep, there's that secret time that parents know about. So that might even affect the timing of when you offer it. And yeah.
That's really interesting. That's almost another whole niche, because first of all, I'm not a mom. And secondly, I hadn't even thought of mums, so that's really interesting. But I was thinking more about, and I don't know when is best for the people I was thinking of. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about people, like, I'm in my 60s. I was thinking about people who are somewhere, in there, who are interested in their own, realizing, hey, I'm not feeling as well as I'd like to. And what if I could do some simple things for myself to feel more reliant and to feel better just by using.
I love it. Well, and here's the thing too, is, so then we're starting to refine the who. So let's say it's people who are kind of in or approaching or slightly after the retirement age, and you love gardening, you want to be taking care of your health, and you don't want to be stuck on pharmaceuticals your whole life. You're drawn to the food as medicine, natural medicine, rather than big pharma Rockefeller medicine. I think that's actually a fairly clear. So that's a interesting sense of who. And then and maybe it's like, yeah, you've always wanted to learn about plants and plant medicine. You've always wanted, but you've just never had the time. So this is going to be a nice bite size, and you can be connecting with other people. So it's got a social element as well.
Yes.
Which to me has more relevance to people who are retired, who might be more socially isolated. They might enjoy having other people to talk with about this, because chances are maybe the rest of their family or their friends just think they're a little nuts for being, don't share the interest anyways. It's like, oh yes, you and your plants, yes, yeah, everybody knows, but they don't. Sometimes it's painful not to have people to talk to. So but then here's the other places one could go with this is, so you may say, well, okay, I'm really interested in the plant piece and plant medicine, but boy, people who are retiring, people in this age group, there's a lot of health issues that start to come up. There's other things they need that I don't offer. So one could have a podcast, for example. You could start a podcast about this that sort of supplements what you're doing, and you could be bringing in guests, or you could bring in guests for the Zoom calls for your community.
Yeah.
You could say, look, once a month, we're going to do the call about the I mean, you could have a whole membership model based on this. But yeah, once a month we do a call where we're going to go over a plant. So one plant a month, but also we're going to bring in a guest to talk about maybe a health issue. So this could be heart stuff, diabetes, hypertension, whatever, you know, that are the main issues as people get older.
Sure. So is this a bad idea? Like, my thought was to get the group going,
Yeah.
and then sort of have that as a core group, if you will, and then offer these add-ons, if you will, about specific things, improving your digestion, as you say, hypertensive situation, you know, how to get rid of inflammation in the joints, or, you know, just, there's so many topics. But I was sort of hoping that I could start with the Herb a Month idea, and keeping in mind that those are of interest, those topics, and then start to notice what people ask about, and then tailor them in after. But you think it would be better to have
not necessarily. No, I think you could start with the one herb a month and just see what kind of response there is to it. I think honing in on the who, like as soon as you said, oh, people around my age, it was like, that clarifies it quite a bit. It also clarifies what the hubs might be, you know. And so for, you know, hubs for you might be also, I mean, there's all sorts of retirement communities. There's meetup groups online. There will be fitness trainers who, like, they specialize in helping people in, you know, 60 plus with their fitness. There will be holistic practitioners who might even specialize with that. There would be gardening, you know, the gardening stores and gardening people who are coaches, you know, help people build their gardens. So that's where my head goes. It's okay, people that age who are interested in plants as medicine, where would I find them? The local Weston A. Price Foundation chapters, you know, would probably have people. So it's the kind of thing where you could just go to one of their meetings, or if they host a local potluck, and you could say, look, if any of you are interested in plants as medicine, I do this thing and we're doing a plant a month. You know, you'd probably get some uptake from those. And again, very helpful to have if you can do a presentation. It's I'm just trying to think of the bigger theme, but yeah, if you could do a presentation about food as medicine, you know, for people in their 60s, or, you know, plants as medicine or whatever, and you say, look, here's a kind of overview about my thoughts on this, and here's how marvelous plants are, here's how medicinal they can be, and yeah, here's some examples, and if you'd like to join this thing once a month, we do it, and it's a great crowd, and you'll meet wonderful people, and you know, because it's focused on this demographic, we're also going to be focused on some of the issues, and you're just going to be learning some things along the way, yeah, about how you can grow older naturally.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I hadn't meant, you know, necessarily to stick myself into the seniors department. I suppose I am, but it is another whole niche. That's been my issue, to find the actual place I want to go. So I figure I'll just jump in and see who shows up, and then move it to support their needs. It's kind of like in the COVID last 2 years, there's a lot of folks that are a bit down, a bit anxious, a bit not living as fully as maybe before, for any number of reasons. And I thought this could be like an uplifting social / discussion, deep dive, as you say, into the particular ways to help themselves, but also to have some fun with it. So yeah, that's great.
There you go. Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Ted.
Okay, so next we've got Halama Seaweed Spa. Is a skincare for nature-loving, eco-conscious, ocean-seeking, sun-exposed, beautiful skin. Also hippies. Nice. Okay. So this is Charisse. I see. Charisse isn't here anymore. I just want to. So we're going to go to somebody who's here. So Toya. So
I'm here. Hello.
Oh, you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It says you're off. Okay. So there we go. Seaweed Spa. So skincare. So do you actually run a spa, a physical spa?
No, it's a product.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've gotten so many ideas today.
Okay.
This has been so great. Yeah, what I've been realizing just from listening is I'm in health food stores and spas and that type of thing. But now I think that I should really go for the surf shops because I really want to capture, really, that's my market. It's people that have been in the sun maybe too much, and we're trying to moisturize and keep our skin supple. And I really feel like men or I want to capture that market. I don't know if that's appropriate to say, but that would be the spot is the surf shops, because I haven't really, I thought in the health food stores maybe, but now I'm seeing that there's a whole market for, and I have never seen skincare really in a surf shop. Yeah.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
And where do you live, by the way?
In Ventura, California.
Great. So
right at the beach. It's a surf town. It's a city really now. Yeah.
I mean, you could just do a whole road trip. You get in a car, drive up the one, and just stop at all the surf shops on the way.
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, and then
which is kind of my lifestyle. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, part of the thing is, it doesn't have to be a fancy approach. It's just you just go to the shop and you say, hey, is the owner in? And I got this thing. I don't know if it's a fit.
That I have. So yeah, thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's just what a great idea that I just hadn't thought of.
Totally. Yeah, I think it is a really good idea. And of course, I mean, there's the surf shops. There's also the surfing instructors, people who are teaching classes on how to do this. There'd be the surfers, who are competing potentially. And frankly, you could also you could have a lemonade stand and just set it up at the beach. I don't know, permits, maybe a thing, but you could just be like, I'm selling the skincare stuff, and just talk to the surfers. And if you, so there's all sorts of ways to reach them. And of course they have magazines, they have hashtags, they have Facebook groups they're a part of. Like there's all sorts of venues.
Yeah. I mean, even just giving out little samples at Rincon, which is in Ventura, would be fun just to say I'm doing this and just give out a little sample.
Right. And writing up, articles for their surfing blogs and newsletters, etc., and you write up a piece saying, here's why, because I take it there's a base of seaweed in your product. Yeah. So you're like, here's why seaweed. And here's why these seaweeds in particular, and here's the mechanism in it that, works to protect your skin. And also, I mean, frankly, I think if you were to start writing articles about the dangers of conventional, sunscreen, and there've been tons of pieces that have come out lately, just how many cancer causing, I mean, hilarious. It's like, wear this to protect yourself from skin cancer, and then it gives you skin cancer. Classic. But so, writing pieces about that, becoming known around that. Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has been so great.
Good. You're welcome. All right. Heather's iPad. Are you here?
I believe Heather did say she was off a little while ago, I believe. Okay.
So
yeah, she said she's got to run chat later. Okay, I think Athena is the last one, or Toya and Athena, and then we should wrap up maybe.
Oh yeah, right. I see the time now. Okay, so Toya says, redefining the meaning of beauty in a world filled with toxic and unhealthy products while focusing on education, self-love, and self-care through the use of herbs and aromatherapy. Target audience, mature women who want to improve health and skin issues naturally, military veterans who suffer from mental, physical, and emotional distress. Well, both of those are very clear. Yeah. So mature women, they want to, they don't want to maybe do the Botox and all this for their skin. They want a natural approach. That's great. And I would just say that's a big market. So I would also recommend for that one, the positioning matrix exercise, I think would be very helpful, because there's so much out there. There's a ton of stuff for that market specifically and skin issues. So then this question, where do you want to fit within that? And I would really be thinking about the who, what, where, when, why, and how to hone that. And with military veterans who suffer from distress, it's Toya, just briefly, what do you want to offer them?
So being prior service myself, with the VA, all they do is give us drugs, and without helping us find root causes or, anything to help with what ailments that we're having. So for vets, products, herbal products or clean beauty products that would help with not only if we have any physical ailments for pain, but for our mental status as well, by the use of aromatherapy.
I see. So yeah, so the thing I'd say, these are two almost different businesses. The target markets are so different. And at some point you may want to choose one or the other, which one do you want to be known for? Because again, you'll get to be known for one thing if you're lucky. The challenge is if we try to be known for too many things, though those things are too different, people forget completely anything that we're up to. But with the military veterans, this is the type of thing where there are so many partnerships available. There's this ebook I've got called Hub Marketing, and I've got tons of videos. Again, if you go to marketingforhippies.com/steps, go to step 5, there's a bunch of stuff around hub marketing. So Toya, I'd say that's probably the most important thing to check out, because there's so many partnerships that could be there. There's people who already help military veterans with all sorts of things. The trauma, the stress, the rehab, all this. And if there's a way you could be reaching groups, there must be a bunch of them who are like, I'm tired of all the big pharma solutions. I want something natural. And, so there's going to be a lot of hubs and ways to reach them. And my guess is, yeah. And my guess is
military city.
Okay. Yeah. So there must also be hubs online for military veterans who are into holistic stuff. And if there isn't, you could create it. But I would look around for that. Is there some Facebook group that maybe you haven't even heard of yet, where military veterans who are, committed to a natural approach, who don't want to just be on the anti-anxiety, antipsychotic, anti-depression drugs their whole life? There's got to be something. Maybe there's podcasts already out there about that. And I'll just say there's something like I'm just thinking of like a URL or a podcast name, like the Hippie Military Veteran, or the naturalsoldier.com, or there's a blog post I wrote. Here's the HTTP. That's not it. It's marketingforhippies.com/oxymoronic. And what I noticed is, and this can be very helpful for a business name, is having so marketing for hippies is an example. Marketing and hippies don't go together normally. So whenever I would say it, people, that's a really funny name. Like, oh, they really need that, I guess. And this idea of being natural and being a part of the military, for me, those just don't naturally go together in my head. So if you could find a name that combines those two things, that merges those two worlds, I would say you don't need to worry about your marketing for the rest of your career. I mean, just getting out there, you'll do just fine. Here's the 3 criteria for a target market. Number 1, is it clear? Number 2, do I know if I'm in that group? Number 2 is, are there enough of them who can afford to pay you? Now, are there enough military folks who are into natural treatments? My guess is yes, given how many people have been in the military, and vets there's probably enough. Third, can you find them? This is the question. But there will be, for example, there would be podcasts for vets. There must be so many podcasts, like military podcasts, and podcasts for vets that are dealing with trauma. My guess is there's that. And you could be a guest on one of those podcasts, sharing your perspective, and they'd probably be so glad to have you. You could build a whole career just on that one niche. And I think the reason I'm focused on this one more than the other one is that one, the first one, there's so much in that space already, but this one has the interesting contrasts. You're blending worlds together. If you go to my YouTube recently, I did a video called "What Worlds Are You Trying to Bridge?" So for me, it's marketing and hippies, and I think that's really got legs myself.
Thanks, Ted. That's awesome. You're gonna make me rethink my business name, which is Holistically You right now, just so that I can focus more on my military community, because here in San Antonio, there's like 5 bases, and
wow,
we are the city, like we are the military city. So I get a lot of feedback from the personnel that I work with on my full-time job who support my business, and they're all vets. So thank you.
Well, and this is something I'd recommend doing, and you might want to, you could even put this on Facebook, or you could ask some friends. But if people have ideas in the chat, I know we're just wrapping up, I think we got one more, but if you have ideas for ways that name could work, feel free to throw them in the chat, on Toya's behalf. But I would try to come up with at least 50 different variations. That would be the homework. Like, what are 50 different names you could have? Don't try to make any of them good. Just riff on this theme of military, soldier, natural, how to combine those in a name. And if you can get some alliteration in there, it's helpful. The first letter of both is the same. It's great. But anyway, there's a bunch of examples in the blog post. I think it'll inspire you and put you on the right track. All right, last but not least, we have Athena. Okay, our Herber membership program is for solitary herbalists looking for someone to confide in and talk about their formulations and herbal journey without judgment or feeling schooled. So Athena, you're finding this is a real situation. This is a real thing people are struggling with?
Yes, for one, I don't see a lot of places out there where you can talk to other people about your about doing formulation anyway, unless it's like a Facebook group where you have no clue what these people's backgrounds are. You don't know if they've been working with herbs for a long time, or if they just went to the market and picked up something and decided, oh, I tried it, so I know what I'm doing. So I find that lacking. And secondly, a lot of times when people go to functions or whatnot, I see where somebody that thinks they might know what they're doing, but they're feeling a little skittish, or maybe they're an introverted person, they try to speak up and say, well, I think this, and however they said it, it didn't come out what they meant. And the person that's teaching or facilitating jumped on what they said, not the meaning, and told them, oh, no, you can't say cure because we're not allowed to say cure. Okay, they said cure, and you're going to jump on that instead of what they were trying to convey. Let's get to the point of what they really need help with. And afterwards, we'll coach them on, let's not use these words. So it doesn't come off like they're all of a sudden feeling attacked. I know I've been in this situation a lot in different conferences and stuff of feeling, oh, okay, well, I misspoke. So we're going to talk about that for 20 minutes instead of the question I asked.
Totally right. You thought you were getting into a creative riffing conversation and brainstorm, and you got into a legal conversation. It's like, oh man.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not just the legal things, but I see that a lot. Like, so if somebody says, oh, let's use poke weed or poke for something, and the person that's running the shop doesn't agree with using poke, all of a sudden now it becomes a lecture of why you shouldn't do this. It's nothing to do with the question that was asked. It's a schooling deal.
I got it.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I kind of get it. I mean, I can see it as I'm trying to think of other situations where, right, you just want to have a collegial conversation and get opinions without being lectured or.
Right. And I feel in the adult world, we're used to this a little bit more. My background is I deal with teenage children mostly, from middle school to high school up until just recently. I was in the homeschool community, and you get to see it with them even more so because they're right at that time in their life where they're breaking free, so they're questioning and asking questions. But I see it in the adult world when I go to places too. But adults don't speak up. They'll just take it and hide in the corner and lose the interest in such things. And that's what I want to stop.
That's beautiful. You have to do
So
it. You must keep
I'm trying to
going.
figure out how to reach those people and like how to.
Well, I would say, at herbalist conferences, you've got a great name, easy to spell, easy to remember. And yeah, I mean, to me, part of it may be, at herbal conferences, you could go and say, hey, could I facilitate a conversation cafe for herbalists where they could get together and talk about their formulations?
Okay.
And then you just kind of promote it and you say, look, hey, do you have some kind of formulation you'd like other people's opinions on, but you don't want to be lectured or caught in a legal thing? Like, come, and then you say, here's the 3 ground rules of our conversations. Talk about whatever you want, but these are the ground rules. And you host a little cafe and you say, hey, if you'd like to continue this online, I've got this little membership thing, and here's how much it costs, and you get to have these conversations on the regular. I think there's often, do you know the book called Open Space Technology?
No.
It's by Owen Harrison, Open Space Technology. But he ran a conference, cost about 120 grand to put it on. When they did the feedback forums at the end, the highest rated part, the most popular part of the conference was the coffee breaks. And he almost tore all of his hair out. So we spent all this money in the coffee breaks. But then he got smart and he said, wait, if that's really the most popular part, what if we did a conference that was structured as a coffee break? And so he did that, where there was no plan. There was a theme, there was a question, and all these people came together, and he basically said, so great, what do you want to talk about within this? What are the themes? What are the specific questions? And people say, the thing I really want to talk about is this. Oh, I really want to talk about this. I'm more interested in this nuance or how these things relate. I said, great. And on the wall was it was like just with tape was, here's the rooms that we have, and here's the times that are available. Figure out where everything goes. And the group together figured out the schedule of the conference and said it was the best conference they've ever been to, and he spent almost no money on it. So anyways, it's a book about how he does it. And so there's that. And then there's also books related to this about this thing called a conversation cafe. There's videos and articles online for free you could find. But I could see you hosting that at conferences and then using that if you don't mind traveling and, doing that.
Oh, I'd love to.
But cool. And then you could also, just reaching out to, there's all the herbalist hubs out there, and just reach out to them, and build those connections. So Chris Corrigan. Yes, I've heard of Chris Corrigan, right? Planning an open space technology meeting. Great. And you could just host live versions of this too, if you wanted, and tour that around. Like, hey, we're going to have a conversation cafe for all the herbal. And so you could reach out to the local herbalist association, say, look, I've got this thing I do where we just bring people together for conversations. Do you want to host it in your community? And we'll just do maybe a 50-50 split, or it could be just pay my gas, and I'll show up. There's lots of models of doing it. And then you say, hey, if you like this day of conversations and you'd like to continue ththese kind of conversations with herbalists from all around the world, sign up for my thing. And we're going to be growing this online community where you can have the kind of conversations you want to have. And then the best part is you could also, once people are involved, they could start hosting conversations and you don't have to be there. Like I have a marketing membership, and on Mondays, twice, there are niche practice calls. I don't host them. And what happens is they play a video of mine, one of my niching exercises, they go do the exercise and then they talk about it. Tuesdays, there's a community collaboration call where it's they all come together. They're divided into Zoom rooms of 4. Each person gets 12 minutes to say, here's my issue, and the other 3 offer support and coaching. Wednesdays, there's a copy clinic where they get to bring a headline or the first page of a sales letter and get feedback on it. Thursdays, there's a point of view clinic, or a practice rather, where they get to watch one of my videos about point of view marketing, do the exercise, talk about it. Fridays, I do a coaching call kind of like this. So you see what I'm saying? Monday through Thursday, there's all these calls. I'm not leading them, but they're happening anyways. Now, there's I offer some one-on-one coaching and exchange and support for the people who do those calls to use whenever they want. But so if you have a community, you can just then start to ask, what are the kind of conversations that everyone wants to have? What does everyone want to talk about? What's interesting for people? Does anyone want to host that as a monthly thing or as a weekly thing? And so you can get this real amazing community engagement where they can go and they know they can go and get other people's opinions to talk about, you know, all these pieces. So it's brilliant, beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I think that's it. I think we're at the end here.
Yeah, that has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for everything you've shared. Like I think every single person who has got feedback today is just like, yeah, come away with more ideas. And even like I've got ideas from listening to the other ideas, and I think other people have as well. Like that's one person shares one thing and then you have that idea and then we all get ideas from that as well. So it's just this like cascade of events. So thank you so much. And yeah, it sounds like everyone in the chat as well has enjoyed it. You're the true MVP.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Caitlin, this is great. So many ideas and resources. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, an absolutely fantastic session. So I definitely have found it really useful. If people are interested in like, you know, taking part in those calls that you mentioned that are all different days of the week in your membership, like how can they get involved with that?
Well, bless you for lifting that up. Basically, if you go to marketingforhippies.com, it's all there. There's an events page. I do have some events coming up. And then if you want to know about the membership, you go to marketingforhippies.com/membership, and there's more info there. But I've got a 30-day program coming up. And you'll notice on the homepage, it's fairly obvious. There's a starter kit. So the full footage of my day-long workshop, which I toured all around the world, is available for free. So you can watch it. There's, I think, like 7.5 hours of footage of where I go over at the 30,000 foot level. How can marketing actually feel good, not feel so terrible? And so that's available there. Anyway, if you go to my website, you'll see there's a bunch of stuff. And feel free to reach out anytime, just had@marketingforhippies.com.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you once again for like all of your time and share like just everything that you offer to the, you know, herbalist hippie community. Like it's just because it's something that we all struggle with, really just getting clear in our niche and the marketing side of things. And so I think it's a pretty important thing to be doing because yeah, if we actually want to work in this field, we kind of need to work towards mastering the skill.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, take care, everybody. And thank you so much for having me, Yolanda. Thank you for the work you do. I mean, Yolanda, my God, what a gift you are to the herbal community around the world to be bringing all these resources and experts together in your summit that you do every year. I just think it must be such a godsend to so many of your people.
Yeah, thank you once again. It's means a lot, and I have truly enjoyed this session. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming here as well and sharing your niches, being vulnerable and putting it out there. I hope you've got a lot out of it. And yeah, we'll see you again soon. Thank you again, everyone.